One computer owned by the business monitors critical safety features of manufacturing. All input data must be processed within a predictable timescale of a fraction of a second. State the type of operating system that should be used by this computer. So with our knowledge of operating systems, we can say that this is saying critical safety features where it needs to be data needs to be processed within a fraction of a second. So we know that that would just be a real-time operating system, as everything operates in real time. Give the names of 3 types of other operating systems, and for each, state its purpose. So we can first say multitasking, and this is when it runs multiple programs at the same time. You have distributed operating systems, and these allow multiple computers to work together on a single task. Embedded, which is when it has a dedicated function, so when the operating system has a dedicated function. When a device such as a keyboard or printer requires attention from the CPU, an interrupt is raised. Explain how an operating system deals with an interrupt. This is only a 3-mark question. So, if an interrupt is raised, the operating system temporarily stops the processes and copies the contents of the register to a stack. So, all the other sort of processes are stopped temporarily, and obviously as an interrupt would be of a higher priority, that interrupt would be raised, and then all the contents of the registers, so all the programs currently running, will be transferred to a stack. And then the OS runs the appropriate ISR interrupt service routine to deal with the device. And then once the interrupt has been handled, the OS restores the previous register values, basically from the stack back to where it was initially, and everything just runs as normal. The computer system will contain several input and output devices. Explain the role of device drivers when using input and output devices on a computer system. Device drivers are a piece of software that allows the hardware/device to communicate with the computer or with the operating system. Explain why the computer's operating system uses a first-come, first-served algorithm when sending documents to a printer. Explain why the computer's operating system uses a first-come, first-served algorithm when sending documents to a printer. It can enable multitasking to switch between active processes and those running in the background, as it limits each process to an equal time slice of the processor time. So when you think of round robin, just think of time slices. And obviously there's some other points you can say. This is only a 3-mark question, but you can just pause and read these points. Describe one other scheduling algorithm. So we know that first come, first served and round robin are one example. Another example could be shortest job first, and this is when the process with the shortest time remaining is completed first. So whichever process has the least amount of time required, it essentially just runs that job first. You can also use multi-level feedback queues, and these use queues with different priorities, and jobs can be moved between these queues. Arnold has a PC with a basic input-output system by BIOS. Describe what is meant by the term BIOS. So this is basically stored in ROM, so it's read-only memory, which means when the computer is switched off, it is not deleted or lost, it will just stay in the computer. And this is because it tests that the hardware is working and it boots up the operating system for the computer. Arnold has a router. It will receive data packets from other computers on Arnold's network or the internet and then route them on to the next step. The scheduling algorithm Arnold's router uses is first come, first serve. State the name of one other scheduling algorithm. So we can say round robin, multi-level feedback queue, shortest job first, shortest time remaining. Obviously, this is only a 1-mark answer, so you can say any one of these. Explain why first come, first served is a suitable scheduling algorithm for Arnold's router. Jobs are processed using first in, first out structure, and each job has an equal priority, and each job has the same processing time, which is obviously suitable when you're dealing with packets and routers. And it is important to say jobs and make sure you don't say data. One role of an operating system is to manage the computer's memory. 2 types of memory management are paging and segmentation. Describe one difference between paging and segmentation. So I'll just go through 2. So the first one with paging and segmentation is Paging uses physical addressing and segmentation uses logical addressing. And then the second difference is paging uses fixed size memory blocks, whereas segmentation uses variable length memory blocks. One example of an interrupt would be removing an external hard disk drive from a computer. State why this would need to interrupt the current fetch, decode, execute cycle of a CPU. So you would say that the operating system would need to remove open files, because if you're removing the external hard disk drive, before that you would need to make sure that the OS removes the open files so that there's no errors. Interrupt service handlers make use of a stack data structure. Describe how a stack is used when handling interrupts. So stacks use a first in, last out structure, and when you have an interrupt and it sort of stops all the processes currently running and they're all pushed onto a stack, they need to be returned from the stack in the correct order. Imogen buys a desktop computer. It comes with an operating system installed. Describe 2 ways that an operating system could manage physical memory. So obviously we have paging, which we've talked about before, and we have segmentation. And paging uses memory blocks of fixed size, and segmentation uses memory blocks of variable size, which are split logically. Explain one benefit of memory management to the user. So you can have multitasking, as users can run several applications simultaneously. You can also say, so you can say either or, so you can say multitasking or you could say security, and this prevents programs from accessing memory that does not belong to them. And this is obviously will, enhance security and privacy and things like that. Describe how virtual memory allows a user to run programs when physical memory is full. So this moves currently unneeded pages from memory to secondary storage, and this creates more room in the memory, and then these pages can be moved back to memory when they are needed. Define what is meant by the term device driver, giving one example of device driver that a home user would need. So we know the definition from earlier. It's software that allows a computer to communicate with the hardware. For example, you can have a printer driver, a webcam driver, a graphics card driver, or a sound card driver. So in the example of like a printer driver, it's obviously you have the sort of like app or device driver on your computer, which will tell you things about the printer, like the queue, when the next document is going to be printed. That is an example of a device driver. Julie is a university student. She's considering buying a laptop to help with her studies, both at home and university. Her friend has told her that she'll need to choose an operating system to run on her laptop. 2 functions of an operating system are memory management and scheduling. State 2 other functions of an operating system. So again, we can say multitasking, and it provides a user interface. Obviously, there are many other things you can say. These are the 2 ones that I remember the most. You've got file management, provide security, utilities, interrupt handling, all of these things. Oh, and peripheral management. So yeah, but you don't need to for this question. The operating system Julie is considering makes use of paging to manage the laptop's memory. Explain one benefit of using paging for this purpose. So, programs can be held in non-contiguous, I don't know if I said that right, memory locations, which means that they can be held in separate locations. They don't all need to be together. And this makes it easier to make the best use of any remaining storage. Define the term embedded operating system. So, system software used to manage a device which is built into the device itself. For example, a dishwasher. Its embedded operating system, or its operating system, is only designed to deal with a dishwasher. So it's built into the dishwasher because it's only dealing with that specific function. Explain why the programmer's use of antivirus software may make use of virtual machines when developing updates. So obviously you can run the update on several different operating systems, and it does not need to be in a physical location or physical machine, as it is a virtual machine. The virus can be put onto the virtual machine to test if the update can catch it. When running the antivirus software, an operating system uses a scheduling algorithm to determine an allocation of CPU time to the antivirus software. Explain why a first come first serve scheduling algorithm would not be suitable in this situation. So first come first serve means that jobs are completed in the order as they arrive, but say a virus ends up running first and the job arrives after, the antivirus software arrives after, this means that the virus checker may never run or take a very long time to start running, and then the viruses will run first, and yeah, that's not good. Okay, describe what the effect would be of a computer having its BIOS overwritten. The computer would obviously not be able to boot up the operating system, and this would make the computer unusable. The operating system needs to load program C into memory, but there is not enough space. Describe how the operating system would use virtual memory to load program C. So the operating system will create an area of secondary storage as virtual memory. So it is going to create this virtual memory so that we can put the programs that are currently not needed into that memory and free up some space for program C. And it moves unused pages or parts of the program, such as program A or program B, into this virtual memory, and it loads program C into this new freed up physical memory. A taxi firm is investigating replacing its drivers with self-driving cars. Explain why the self-driving system will use a real-time operating system. The operating system will need to respond instantly to changes, such as someone stepping in front of the car. And a real-time operating system will always guarantee a response time compared to, say, another operating system that will do things or process things a bit slower. And obviously, in this case, that would not be helpful as you would need an instant response. The Government Communications Headquarters is responsible for monitoring communications in order to keep the UK secure. A large part of its job involves trying to break into encrypted messages. The code breakers at the GCHQ have access to supercomputers, computers with many processors, and describe why a supercomputer will be useful to GCHQ. So the CPUs can work in parallel on the same problem, trying multiple keys simultaneously to break the code. So obviously a supercomputer will have many CPUs, and obviously if these can all work in parallel on the exact same program, then it'll be much quicker to try and break into an encrypted message. Desktop operating systems are an essential part of modern personal computer systems, such as desktops and laptops. Describe how a desktop operating system is loaded when a personal computer is first switched on. So the BIOS is loaded, which loads up the operating system. See and Believe is a company that specialises in computer-generated imagery, CGI for films. Producing CGI requires a lot of processing power, and so the company has a large number of high-performance computers. Explain why See and Believe would use a distributed operating system. So distributed operating systems allows for multiple computers to work on the same program so that they can all work on producing the same special effect or film or whatever task it is. Explain why scheduling is necessary. Scheduling allows for processing of as many jobs as possible in the least possible time, and it ensures that all jobs are processed fairly with an efficient use of resources. Explain why memory management is necessary. So it organises the use of memory, and it converts logical addresses into physical addresses so that programs can share memory with each other. Okay, and that's it. We've done 1.2.1 system software, and we've covered quite a few different types of exam questions. We've learned about the need, function and purpose of operating system. We've done memory management, paging, segmentation and virtual memory, interrupts and ISR service routines. Scheduling, we've done round robin, first come first served, multi-level feedback queues, shortest job first and shortest remaining time. We've looked at all of these different types of operating systems, the bootstrap, device drivers and virtual machines. So yeah, that is everything.